Welcome once again to another episode of Wisdomization. In Wisdomization, this is the primordial wave, and I am the Wisdomizer. Please subscribe to my channel. To wisdomize is to make wiser, to make smarter, to elevate our consciousness to higher dimensional reasoning or thinking. Why is this important? This is important because many people on this planet, many people you know, many people you call your friends, your families, your teachers, your pastors, your priests, your bishops, your popes, your imams, many people, and when I say many, I mean many, majority of the people on the planet cannot conceptualize reality beyond the three-dimensional cognition. I'm going to say it again because it's very important. This is very important. Many people on this planet, majority of the people on the planet cannot conceptualize reality beyond the 3D cognition. And the 3D cognition is a road to hell. I'm going to say it again. The three-dimensional cognition or understanding of phenomenon and the world is a road, a paved road to hell. Why? Because the three-dimensional cognition or reasoning or understanding of things has to do with the feedback from your five senses. You know, many people take things on a face value. You've gone to school, you graduated with master's degree, with bachelor's degree, with PhD. As some people say, PhD is permanent head damage. I think that describes that degree very well. You know, that doesn't mean to undermine people who have actually studied and earned the degree. Validate their effort. But most of these people are nothing but programmed individuals who cannot reason beyond the three-dimensional cognition. They can't. They're agents of the system. They are lackeys of the system. They are mouthpiece of the system. And they cannot go beyond the indoctrination of the system. And that is the problem. That is the problem. Why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? Because the three-dimensional programming is the programming of the matrix. Here we talk science, we talk philosophy, we talk metaphysics, all of them combined, right? The 3D system, the physical reality that is impressing itself on your five senses are the domain of what the Bible calls the God of this world, the God of this world. And why did the Bible describe Satan? Call him Satan, call him Samael, call him Saklas, call him the Demiurge, call him Iblis, call him any of these names, just referring to one entity that is the master of the physical plane, the master of the physical plane. And if you are a materialist, if your whole understanding of phenomenon is based on materialism, then you can go with the 3D cognition. That works for you. But if you are a souled being, if you have soul and you know that beyond this physical matter, there is another dimension, there's another reality, there's another world, then you cannot trap yourself on the three-dimensional thinking, right? Because the three-dimensional thinking is the realm of the God of this world, or Satan, or Lucifer, as you might see. And your soul incarnating here is in the domain, the realm, in the prison system. Once you incarnate here, you are in a prison system. The reason you don't realize it is because your memory Before you were born, your memory was wiped by these entities, by these beings. Call him Belphegor, call him Lucifer, call him Soklas, Samael, Iblis, the Demiurge, the Archons. They are all the same. They're all the same. And they are the governors of the physical matter. That is why you cannot beat them with science. You cannot beat them with science when it comes to material science, because Lucifer is the chief scientist. Lucifer is Enki. As I've said some time ago in one of my lectures, the physical plane of existence is a slow down vibration, is a slow down light. Matter is a slow down light. And what is matter? The basic elementary school definition of matter is that matter is anything that has weight and occupies space, which means if it is dense, it is matter. It is matter. So that also tells you that material realm is a fallen realm, because when you exist in your state of primordial angelic form, you don't have material composition. You don't have body like flesh and bones and blood and liquid in your body. But your soul has descended, and that is when you read many texts and scriptures around the world from multiple religious traditions, not just Judeo-Christian scripture. You see that all these traditions spoke about the soul coming, the fall of man, the fall of man. So the fall of man is the great demiurge, or Satan, or Lucifer, or Samael, or Soklas, tricking souls to take the form of incarnation. And you incarnated in the physical realm where your soul consciousness is trapped in a prison system. We don't see it, but there are frequency bars. There are spiritual frequency bars blocking your thought form from ascending to the higher reality, what they call the higher eon. You are in the lower eon. You are in the lower eon. The lower eon is the fall, is a state of fallenness. To be in the body means you are in a state of fallenness. The whole purpose of man being here is to find your path back to the creator. That's it. Any other thing is secondary. And you see how difficult it is to live each day of your life thinking, how do I return to the prime creator so that they don't keep recycling you within this physical plane, this fallen realm? How do you return? It's difficult because everything you see around you is what? Distraction. Distraction. People think the purpose of life is just to get married and have a bunch of kids and buy some fancy cars and then quote unquote, I'm successful. Those things are not success, because by the time you leave this dimension, you are in a prison, but you don't know it. By the time you leave this physical realm and you see what is there in the other side, you are going to realize how stupid, how idiotic, how wasteful you have been with your time on this planet. You're going to realize it. You're going to realize it. But I'm not trying to advocate like an economic Luddite, people shouldn't pursue whatever gives them joy or makes them happy. But the purpose is that if the entire consciousness is trapped within this pursuits, then you are screwed up and you're fucked up, completely fucked up. Things are not always what they seem. And that is why we're here to decode some of the things that have been hidden from people that people don't know about. A lot of people take things on a face value. Your teacher, your professor, your pastor tells you something. Some people don't have the equipment to decipher, to decode, to examine those assumptions that are being presented. And most of these teachings are mind control. They're mind control. They're controlling you. They're feeding off of your consciousness. And for you to be able to live this dimension successfully, when you die, you have to maintain your own path by yourself. Nobody leads you to heaven. Nobody does. You find your own path. Your pastors, your priests, your bishops, your imams, your popes, all of them are as blind to the real reality, just as you are. So the blind cannot lead the blind. You know? The blind cannot lead the blind. Most of their teachings are third dimensional teachings. Most of your bishops, popes, pastors, imams, evangelists, name them, most of their teachings are third dimensional teachings. And third dimensional teachings are still the teachings of the fallen realm. The teachings of the fallen realm. It's a mind control, a virus is running in your software, your bio, digital, spiritual, soul level. A virus has been introduced, and this virus is keeping you from what? Transcendence, from ascension, from living things that doesn't matter to going to things that matter, right? And that is why it's good to maintain certain skepticism like doubt. Don't just believe people. Don't just believe the teachers. Don't just believe your mom because it's your mom. Question, investigate. As I say, in this journey, in this soul journey, you are responsible for your soul. Nobody is. And that's what people don't get. People think that their pastor is going to save them, their bishop is going to save them, the pope is going to save them, the church is going to save them. No. These systems are as ignorant as you are. They don't. The blind is leading the blind. So it's a journey of an individual to self-rediscover, to trace your path back to the Creator, because our souls are indestructible, our souls are eternal, our souls are part of the source, part of God, if you may, part of the prime Creator, that have been separated by deception. And maybe next time we're going to discuss how souls are tricked to come to the physical world by Samael, by Lucifer, by Sarklas, by the demiurge and his archons. These are demonic entities, right? How souls are tricked. If you read the book of Revelation, you are going to hear where it is categorically stated that the great dragon used his tail to drag 1/3 of the stars from heaven. What do you think he's talking about? What do you the book of Revelation or the apocalyptic book is very encoded in esotericism, and people read it, but they don't get it. They don't get it. Interpretation I see around the world is often very wrong. So when he's talking of the great dragon using his tail to drag 1/3 of the stars, you are one of those stars that were dragged, you deceived to come here and experience what they call the physicality, right? The physicality. And because your soul is encased in the physical body, these beings feed off of you. These entities feed off of you. Why is it important for them to feed off of you? Your energy, your soul's energy. You don't see it, but your soul has a bubble of eternal energy coming out of it, right? And this is what they feed off of. That's why they need you here. They need you here instead of being in the other side, right? In the higher eon. This realm is called the lower eon. The lower eon, the lower dimension, third density, the fallen realm, they're all the same. What are you doing in the fallen realm? They say the fall of man. If man has fallen, where did he fall into? talking of soul incarnating and being in a physical body, right? So these are not what your churches teach. It's not what school teach. It's not what your parents teach. These are higher knowledge. These are higher knowledge. These are higher information for people who want to get off of the three-dimensional cognition, because the three-dimensional cognition is the realm of Leviathan. Leviathan is a fallen demon, right? This demonic entity is also placed in a frequency bar. You don't see there's a prison, there's a gate. When you can see the astral realm, when you can see the other dimension, right? You see there are a bar, a frequency bar, electrical frequency bar preventing your thought form from ascending back to the creator, right? There's a prison you cannot see. And I think they mentioned this very, very truth in the movie The Matrix when you say, you are in a prison. I'm not quoting them directly, but I've forgotten how they did. But Morpheus was making a statement. He said, you are in a prison that you cannot see, taste, or smell or touch. You can see it because your judgment is based on the feedback from your five senses, and you cannot rely on five senses for knowledge. What you see here, this is not the eye to see. Your physical eyes is not what you used to see. Anything that the physical eye sees is illusion, is a deception, is a lie. Anything as simple as coming out on a bright, beautiful day, looking at the sky, you're going to say, oh, the sky is blue. What is it? The sky is not blue. The blueness you see in the color blue you see in the sky is an optical illusion. It's an ocular deception. Your eyes is tricking you because it's not blue. When you go to the space, it's pitch dark. So how come you're seeing blue sky? And that is why investigation is very important. It's called epistemology. How do you know that you know? How do you know that you know? And how do you trust that what you see is true? Right? Quantum physicists are telling us today that nothing is concrete. If you think you're seeing a tree, is an illusion. Of course, this is beyond many people's comprehension and understanding, right? This is beyond many people's reasoning, because like, are you out of your mind? You're telling me that I'm looking at my hand is not there. I'm looking at the houses, it's not there. I'm looking at this tree, is not there. You have to have the vibration beyond the three-dimensional system to understand what I'm trying to explain. That the tree you see there, the mountains you see there are not actually there. It's like, oh my goodness, you lost your mind. You lost your mind. I'm not going to go deep into that, but quantum physics themselves are beginning to explain that, because everything is vibration. Everything is composed of atoms, and atoms are in a state of constant vibration. So there cannot be physical density. The multiplicity, the duality you see in physical matter does not exist. It's an illusion. And who is feeding you with these illusions is Samael, is Saklas, is the demiurge, is Iblis. Call him demons, call him Lucifer or Satan. One entity, the master of the physical realm deception. Because the deception you see is not like just, oh, the devil deceiving you to go and kill somebody. Of course, that's also part of manipulation. But the greatest manipulation is these beings know how to bend light frequency. I'm talking of high metaphysics right now. They know how to bend light. They know how to fracture light. They know how to manipulate energy and provide you, your physical senses, with illusions. You're thinking that the world you interact with is there, but it's not actually there. And I'm going to stop here because I think I'll mess a lot of people up. When you tell them the goats or the cows, the trees, the cars you've seen does not exist, it's illusion. It's an illusion in your mind. And that is why the only thing that is steady is your soul. That is the only thing that you have to trust. That is the only thing that you have to work for. Every other thing you chasing, you're pursuing, is an illusion that has been encoded, wrongly encoded within your biodigital body soul vibratory system by the fallen angels. That is the truth. That is the truth. This is beyond many people's comprehension, as I say, because if you are trapped in 3D, I know you're thinking, I've lost my mind to say this. I've lost my mind to say this. If you're a three-dimensional thinker, if all you know is what you've been taught in school, what you've been programmed to believe in the church, you can't get me. You can't get what I'm saying. The world outside of you does not exist. Quantum physics are not catching up with what spiritual people have been saying for ages. It does not exist. So if it does not exist, if I'm eating delicious ice cream, am I still, does it exist? No, it does not exist. It doesn't exist, right? You have to be of higher consciousness to know what I'm talking about. So let me know, go there. So today, we are going to be looking at the manipulation of our reality by the fallen angels. The entire reality you exist in, the three-dimensional system. There are dimensions after dimensions. I think even Jesus made mention of this dimension when he said, in my Father's house there are many mansions. Talking of dimension, the levels of existences, right? So where you are, there's another reality above it and above it and above it. And there are beings of higher intelligence that exist within these dimensions. The reason you don't see these beings is because you have been condensed to matter. You have been reduced to material vibration. And because you believe in that what you've seen is actually they program your perception. So you can no longer see with your true eyes, which is your soul. Your physical eyes, your physical senses are illusions. You can't rely on them to understand the higher things. You can't at all. If you rely on them, you make an epistemological as well as a metaphysical error. You commit an error, commit a blunder, you know. And as I say, of course, if you are a materialist, materialists are people who believe there are no higher dimension to reality. Everything is matter. If somebody dies, it doesn't go anywhere. There's no soul, right? These are materialists. There's no angelic principles. There's no higher dimension. There is no afterlife. Everything ends here. Today, tomorrow, no more. If I die today, that's it. That's the end. That's the end. Of course, we've had people before who, like, is it Eben Alexander? He was a scientist, I think a surgeon. Surgeon, very intelligent, until he had what we might call near-death experience. Prior to that experience, spiritual experience, he did not believe there was higher dimension. He believed what he called consciousness or soul is nothing but the electrical impulse in the brain. When somebody dies, he dies and that's it, until he had an experience, what you may call near-death experience, and he saw the other dimension. And then a scientist who was a materialist is talking metaphysics. That was a transformation. Sipping my water. So what you see have to be questioned. The program you received have to be questioned. If you are the kind who cannot ask hard questions to your teachers, of course you have to be methodic, because your teachers might be, if you ask your professor hard question, they want you to believe what they're teaching you, but some of these things are garbage. If you ask hardcore questions, they might give you bad marks. So you have to be intelligent. If you are the kind who cannot ask your priest hard questions, when they teach you stuff, ask questions. Maintain methodic skepticism, because that's how you find out things yourself, and nobody can teach you anything. Nobody can, lead your soul to salvation. You lead yourself to salvation. And as I said, most teachings in this world, the teachings of the system are teachings of three-dimensional cognition. You cannot rise to higher level of consciousness with those teachings. So I have a screen I am going to share. I like visual images or imagery. I am going to be talking of how our reality is being manipulated. Your reality, the entire reality you live in. What you think you know is an illusion. You don't know no jack, right? So, who are behind the manipulation of our reality? Our Earth, our Mother Earth, the beautiful Mother Earth is under the control of these astral vampires. These entities that came from a different dimension that has imprisoned our dimension. The earth is a prize to them. They want to win the earth. And there's a war actually in the metaphysical realm, in the spiritual realm, on who is going to control our planet. I'm talking of demonic beings. I'm talking of demonic beings. They're warring on who to control our planet. Why? Because the planet our planet carries souled humans, and souled humans are their prize. You know, this entity has been here for years, and they are multi-dimensional, they are interdimensional. Some of them live in the reality just that beyond our 3D system. You can see them, of course, you can't see them because you rely on your eyes, and the physical eyes cannot see these things, right? Cannot see them, but they're here. They're here all over the place. They're here manipulating, controlling your reality because they want to keep man, of course, souled human, because some people don't have soul. They want to keep souled human under their control. So most of the religious system you think you think are using to go to heaven are controlled by these things. These non-human, interdimensional, multidimensional beings who came here a few thousand years ago. Has anyone ever thought how come most of the major religions of the world came from the Middle East? At about the same time, Shintoism, Judaism, Islam, Islam is a came later, but most of the major religions of the world came from the Middle East. Why is that? Because there are interdimensional pathway or gateway where in the Middle East. That's one of them. There are hundreds of these portals around the world, but the one in Middle East is the one they're really fighting to control. And that is why throughout history, even in biblical time, you see that there's war always going on in the Middle East. There's war going on there. Human war. But these human wars are not actually human war. They're fallen angelic wars. They just manifest in terms of human wars, whether it's Jews fighting other Muslims or Muslim fighting Jews, has always been going on for a long time. And we have to understand this beyond the cognition of three-dimensional reasoning. You got it? You got it? So let's dive deep into our topics today. We're talking about the manipulators of our planet. They work for the fallen realm. All the systems here. Of course, if you're a materialist, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to souled people who believe and who know, not just believe, but who know there are spiritual dimension to reality. That's what I'm talking to, right? So, our physical reality is under the hegemony, under the control of entities that are non-human, and all your political systems, all your religious systems, all your social systems, most of the philosophical systems you have are controlled, the gifts of these beings. Most of your scientific inventions and cultures are all the gifts of this fallen lower eon. Lower eon. There should be, there should be a gulf. If you read the story in the New Testament of Jesus talking, Jesus made a kind of allusion to Lazarus and the rich man. And on the course of that story, he did mention that there's a gulf separating Lazarus and the rich man. That gulf is the demarcation between what they call the high eon. The high eon is where the source, the true God, lives. And the lower eon is this fallen dimension. And the God who controls this dimension and his angelic forces or his archontic forces are often claimed to be the true God. And a lot of people follow these demonic beings who manifest in different names throughout history, right? All your political systems are controlled. Um, your major world events are nothing but a perception manipulation of these creatures. Of course, what I'm saying might sound like doesn't make sense to a lot of people. If you are a three-dimensional thinker, it doesn't make sense. Like what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Right? So I'm going to tell you the ways that these people are manipulating our world and claiming to, I mean, when I say these people, I mean the agents of these darker interdimensional dark energies or dark entities that are not allowed, these beings are not, some of them are not allowed to be in the physical reality. You know, they can't be in the physical reality. So they use proximity, they use agent, they use what they call vessels. They 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 use either conscious agents or blind agents, and also use lesser demons who have been engineered to be able to operate within the physical dimension to carry out their activities, right? So a few days ago, was it on the 22nd, what they call the Earth Day, the day where people supposedly have to remember the Mother Earth, you know, they're talking of not abusing the planet Earth and respecting the planet Earth. But the question we have to ask ourselves is that if our dimension is under the hegemony of the fallen realm, of course, the Earth is fighting hard the beautiful Earth is fighting hard to be free from these demonic controls. The Earth is beautiful. The Earth is, you know, the giver of human life. You know, is the only planet within our solar system that can sustain life. You know, of course, these days the scientists are saying that life can thrive on Mars, but it's more difficult to live on Mars than it is to live on Earth. Um, these other space bodies, these other objects in the space, kind of cannot sustain the kind of biological organism like the Earth can sustain. And the Earth, the planet Earth, is very special. Very, very special. Is a spiritual conscious being. We have not been taught that the Earth is a spiritual conscious being, right? Very conscious. So, how come these elites, this Luciferian elite, always saying, "Oh, we care about the Earth"? Do they really care about the Earth? That's a question. That's a question. A few days ago was a kind of commemoration of the you know, what they call the Earth Day, where people supposedly were supposed to respect the Earth. And we're going to take that back in 1992 in Brazil, a place called Rio, Brazil, where the global elites, the Luciferians, and the controllers of the physical reality, those who bend the physical light and manipulate our perception, gathered together in Brazil and what they call the Earth Summit. The Earth Summit, you know. we look deeper. We look deeper as to do these Luciferians care about our planet? Do they care about our planet? And what is the whole stunt? What is the whole charade? What is the whole game of pretending that they care for the earth? No, they want to control the earth and so the humans. And this is a war. This is a war going on. This is an interdimensional war that is manifesting in terms of physical programs on the earth. Physical programs on the earth. So what happened around the 1992, where these Luciferians begin to started thinking, started making plans to quote unquote save the earth. It was the era of liberalism, Liberal Democratic Party, whether in England or in the United States. Bill Clinton in the 1990s was the president of the United States, a leftist. And I call him a closet Leninist. Leninism has to do with communism. Communism. These are all part of the program of these people to subject the whole world to the liberalist, extremely leftist movement that will eventually bring the world not just to communism but to their cherished and dreamed and desired age of singularity. By the way, so we see that in the 1990s was almost like the era of liberalism. The liberal Luciferian elites were in power. The globalists were in power. And we got to understand that these people, whether it's Bill Clinton, the British Prime Minister in the 1990s, these people are puppets. These people are puppets. They are put in power by the greater hidden hand that you don't see, that you don't know. But they all have one agenda. Don't be deceived. They all have one agenda. They're working for the higher consortium. They're working for the higher hidden hand. And the higher hidden hand are working for entities that are not human, non-human entities of the interdimensional reality in their fight to control sold human. The prize is sold human. So most of the project, most of the agenda, the political agenda, the economic agenda, the social agenda, the environmental agenda, the cultural agenda being initiated on a massive scale by these elites have hidden agendas. That is the truth. That is the truth. Tony Blair was also the prime minister in the 1990s in England, just as Big Bill Clinton was also the president of the United States in the early 90s. And these are all liberalists, Leninists, socialists, semi-communist driven politicians who are also puppets of their hidden puppet masters, right? So these are puppet boys of the globalists. Remember, you think they have power? They don't really have power. There are people who place them there and they listen to them. And if you don't listen to them, they fuck you up and remove you. They are only figureheads of the greater force that many people are not aware of, right? They impose their master's philosophies of neo-socialists, Luciferian leftism, hypnotic double speak on the political arena of the 1990s. Why did I say one of the things I'm going to decode for you here is you look at this. This is the logo of the Democratic Party in the United States. It's a donkey with 3 stars. And then this is the logo of the so-called Labour Party, the British Labour Party. What is the similarity between this? If you see this, you see the symbol of communism. You see the shovel, and this is a feather, and then the Luciferian light is here, right? This is worker. This shovel here signifies worker. This is workers' party. This is communist symbolism. Of course, in the modern era, I think they realize that the people are waking up and they have to change their logo to a rose flower. But we know who they are. We know who they are. We know they are closet Leninists and the closet communists, right? So, what's the different? What's the similarity between the old British Labour Party logo and the United States of America's Democratic logo of a donkey? You have to understand that the donkey, when you study ancient texts, the donkey is used to represent Set, the god Set. Who is Set? Set is Satan, right? You see the donkey esoterically and from the occult level signifies endurance and work. Work. The donkey works. It has high level of tolerance to pain. You can labor. You see, they're all labor party. Labor. Donkey is a laborer. Donkey is a worker. Donkey represents who? Set or Shat or Sut or Shaitan or Satan. When you understand the symbolism and ancient occult ciphers, right? They are the same thing, because that's why they call them the People's Democratic Party. It's the same terminology they use. Like if you go to communist nations like North Korea, they call them the People's Democratic Party, the People's Party, the Workers' Party, right? So these extremely liberalist political movements all have one global agenda. They all have one global program. They're all one. They're all one. And some of us can see beyond the illusion. The logos are the same thing. Shovel here, if you go and check any communist logo in the world, always have something that has to do with work, because he's talking of the people. And the light here is the Luciferian light, of course, the light bearer. Who's the light bearer? Is Lucifer. He is Satan, right? And as I say, donkey is a symbol of the god Set. The god Set is Sut or Shaitan in Arabic, or Satan in English, or Lucifer, or Samael, or Sarklos. They're all the same thing. So this symbolism are not just people who put these things are wiser than you. They are in the known, and they know that they want to impose their Luciferian globalist communist system on mankind. And that's why people who have souls, people who are good, have to resist this extremely liberalist program upon the earth, right? Because they are pushing to the age of not just cognitive singularity, but also communism, and technological, social, cultural, economic, political singularity, right? And when you look at these visible head leaders, they are babies. There are higher forces that are controlling them. So don't think that they are just shells being utilized by higher forces to impose certain global agenda or program on the people. So it was within this 1990 liberalist, Leninist, communist, socialist period that we see the secret societies coming together in Rio, Brazil to do Earth Day. I mean, Earth Summit. They love the Earth so much. They love the Earth. Do they really love the Earth? They're the ones destroying the Earth. by their unmitigated exploitation of the planet. It's not the poor people who exploit the earth, it's them. And they're the ones who are telling you that they love the earth. Come on, come on. Some of us can decipher through these lies. We can see through these illusions. We can see they're playing mind game on the people. At the same time, the vice president of the United States at that time, Al Gore, became again another puppet boy of these global secret societies, this liberal communist, hidden communist global movement. He began to promote what? What was Al Gore promoting? Was promoting global warming. Global warming. I think this guy was at the forefront of pushing this idea of global warming. Why are they promoting this agenda? Why? Because they detest humanity. They are coming for your life. They don't like you. They want to control the population. And when they frighten you enough to believe that the earth is in danger, and then they begin to put measures in place, diabolical measures in place. It's been going on for a long time. It's been going on for a long time. You just need to get away from the mainstream knowledge and do independent research. You see, the depopulation agenda is behind this quote unquote earth movement and the global warming agenda. The depopulation of the masses. They have to control the population. It's been going on for years. In third world countries, they've been taking people out, millions of people. When you conduct independent research, you will find out that in the 1960s, maybe 69, the government of the Western world, particularly the United States of America, had allotted large sum of money to involve in research to develop the human immune destroying system, which later on people, independent researchers will tell you was what led to AIDS. AIDS. How many people died of AIDS? And they told you lies that HIV/AIDS came from green monkeys in Africa. Bullshit. It's a virological program for a depopulation of the African population, because they were afraid that, quote unquote, the earth will not have resources. Not because the earth will not have resources, because if they don't control the resources of the planet, everybody will have enough. But they hoard it. They hoard it. They have excess for themselves and other people don't, because it's a way of control. When you control resources, you control the population. That's the logic. If you control the resources, you control the population. So, following the promotion of Clinton, remember I say promotion. Some of you will say election, was elected. But there are hidden hands that promoted him there. If they don't choose you there, you're not going to go. Following the promotion of Clinton as a leftist liberal, his vice, Al Gore, was carefully cultivated by the Illuminati as the new fanatical harbinger of climate change. Catchphrases such as climate crisis was dramatically imposed on the psyche of the hypnotized masses, who in turn started chanting the Luciferian mantra. In 1992, Gore headed the US Senate delegation to Earth Summit in Rio, Brazil. Earth Summit is another name for the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. This was the platform that established the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Doesn't it sound well? We're fighting to save the earth. But the reality is that they hate humanity and they hate our planet. That's the reality. Because that is what you have to understand about Luciferianism. Because they see themselves as the elite. They see themselves as a light. Lucifer is called the light bringer. The light bringer. They saw themselves as the enlightened ones, and every other person is a Goya, is a cow, is a sheep, is a zombie, right? So They saw themselves as people who will determine the fate, not just of the planet, but of soul humans here on Earth. So, talking of global warming, right? They scare you. And behind it, if you study many other independent research, got to understand independent research because mainstream research is often full of lies. For some of you, let me stop here a little bit. For some of you who like to read, this book is very important, The Hidden Secret History of the World by Laura Knight. Secret History of the World. If you really want to understand reality beyond the programming of the 3D cognition, read this book, The Secret History of the World and How to Get Out Alive. Read this book as well, Bringers of the Dawn. Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Marcinek. I think she had other books. I have a couple of her books. Very good. Another one, High Strangeness. Then you begin to understand what is going on beyond the programming of your school system, of your church system, of this bullshit they fill people with, right? Read this book, High Strangeness, the hyper dimensions and the process of alien abduction. Very, very, very deep book. It will mess you up. It will mess you, challenge your perception of reality, right? And these people are not stupid. These people are very, very, they know what they are talking about. Another one book, what reading is Jim Morris, Our Occulted History. Our Occulted History. The subtitle is Do the Global Elites Conceal Ancient Aliens? Begin to understand reality beyond the visible sense perception. Another book worth mentioning here is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Very important. Why? Because this guy was in the known. This guy was in the known. He was in the known. He knew a lot of things that was coming to mankind. Read this book is very important. Very important. Because what amazes me is that people will spend hundreds and thousands of dollars and whatever the fucking currency you use in your country to buy shoes and clothing, and then you come to your house, there's no single material for knowledge that tells you where people are. 3-dimensional cognition, low vibration, right? Knowledge is the only thing that worth pursuing because knowledge will help to free your soul from the control system that we are all trapped in. You have to get out, right? Another book is by George Orwell. George Orwell, 1984. Visionaries. And if you do your study very well, you discover this guy is also in the known. He is in the known. You know, they all have some information that is not available to people. Even though these 2 books were written in forms of fiction, but they're not fiction, folks. Things to come or things that is already happening. They told you about it years ago. This is one of the very important book to see how these secret societies and Illuminatis are chemically transforming the earth. They're changing the earth. It's like, why are you talking about the earth? Well, I'm just want to do my own thing. No, but you're fundamentally being changed. You don't know that. The air you breathe is different. The water you drink is different. The food you eat is different. The entire social media structure is different. They are meant to alchemically transform you for their agenda, right? For their agenda. So this book is by Joseph Farrell, Dr. Joseph Farrell. Very, very important books if you understand a chemical transformation, how you are being transformed without your knowledge. Your basic DNA is being altered. You're being programmed from the subconscious mind, from the unconscious mind, your biological, your mental, your psychological, your emotional body is being programmed. And sometimes I say dumbed down. People are constantly being dumbed down. So why do these people pretend they care about our earth while they're working for their interdimensional um, demonic masters, right? Do they really care about us? Do they really care about the planet Earth? They want to save the Earth. They want to save the Earth. And you see many, quote unquote, learned, I don't know if I should call them learned or dumbed down or programmed. Many mainstream programmed professors and students and people you might consider to be intelligent buying this agenda of global transhumanist depopulation, Malthusian theory of dark, diabolical, evil, satanic, Luciferian agenda for mankind. No, they don't care about the earth. They don't care about the earth because their history, their track record shows that they have utilized um, germ warfare, biological warfare, conventional military tactics, and warfare, nuclear bombs, atomic bombs, any kinds of weaponry for the destruction of the earth. They are the ones who are pilfering, who are exploiting the resources of the earth. They are the ones, not the poor people. So they don't really care about the earth. But there's a agenda. Why they want to make you believe that they care about the earth is because that will give them the background, the foundation to galvanize everybody for a particular goal, for a particular agenda. Because if they don't do it like that, some people are waking up and they will begin to confront them. But when they have like platform, or we have Earth Day, or we have Earth Summit, we have Green Revolution. These are, Green Revolution. I remember when I was growing up back home, Green Revolution was a thing. Many governments were charting this globalist agenda all over the place. It becomes a program in many African countries, but not knowing, African leaders. I don't want to say the least intelligent in the world. They're just kind of dumbed down, controlled. Like they don't understand how the world is run. They just follow everybody. Once you give them money, they put the entirety of their value on the pecuniary worth on money. You give them money, you can steal everything there. They don't care. They don't care. So Green Revolution was in those days one of those Luciferian agenda of quote unquote bringing agricultural revolution, but in essence they are hidden Malthusian population control agenda on our planet, right? So the interdimensional entities are holding our planet Earth hostage. They are Luciferian agents, pretend to care for Mother Earth. They hate the Earth and all souled humans. Their track record tells us who they are. That's why it's important to not just take this global programs at its face value. Spend years, of course, looking into this information. And I'm not just saying it because I want to say it. I'm saying it because it's what I've spent a lot of time researching. And what you find out when you dive deep into research is that what is being communicated in the visible, the media, is not what is going on, right? Have to look deeper. Right? The satanic proposal. There's an organization called the Club of Rome. The Club of Rome, I think it came into existence sometime in the 60s, but they conducted, let me sip my water. They conducted a global demographic studies on human population growth in 1968. And from that study, they made a recommendation to their Luciferian fellow Luciferian agents and colleagues. And the recommendation that came out of the study of the Club of Rome in 1968 was the mass depopulation. They saw it as necessary to begin a program to reduce the human population growth on this planet, you know. And that is why I'm saying that these people don't care about people. And how do they reduce global population? We know that HIV prior to 1977 was not in Africa. And then 1977, 78, boom, HIV exploded in Africa and millions of people were wiped out. And independent researchers will tell you this is a germ warfare. This is a program to wipe the Black population because Africa was growing in population, right? And it was causing these people nervous because they want to maintain the global population at certain level. And this Club of Rome was one of those entities that they're always obsessed with people, conducted a demographic global population studies, and they came with a recommendation that the global population need to be reduced. You know, so the whole Earth global warming things, you know, is to scare people. When they scare people, they begin to put when people are scared enough, they are going to agree to whatever program or agenda that these people are putting in place. And one of those is the Malthusian agenda. I read this book. It's called The Population Bomb. The Population Bomb. Very important book because this is telling you the vision of these people for global population. The Population Bomb, right? By Paul, I think Paul Enrich. The name is tiny here, Dr. Paul Enrich. You know, these are anti-human, Malthusian, Luciferian, diabolical movements or philosophies, eugenicists, philosophies, fanatical environmental maniacs who want to reduce the population of the world for whatever the fucking agenda they have for their own selfish interest and to serve their hidden interdimensional demonic lords or gods, if you want. These people are Satan worshippers, right? They're Satan worshippers. So, again, anyone who like to research should look into a document called the Hague-Kissinger Depopulation Policy. This guy is another puppet of these globalist elites. Is a puppet of the Illuminati, and they've used him a lot to cause a lot of havoc on the face of the earth. He was a strong political figure, strong in terms of his ideological conviction, his philosophy, leaning to that of the Malthusianism of eugenist movement. Henry Kissinger was a very strong personality in the US political history, right? But go beyond what you're being taught in the media and then do your independent research, and then it begins, the picture will come together of who these people are and who they are working for. So Henry Kissinger founded the Office of Population Affairs. They're obsessed with human growth, population. Like the obsession is how to reduce global population by any means, by the use of virus, use of war, use of starvation, diseases, using geoengineering, using political sabotage, any kind of diabolical means. In their book, they will employ it to reduce mass population, right? Because they see you as cows, as cattle, as eaters, as consumers, as the masses, ignorant, stupid. That's how they see you. So, he, talking of Henry Kissinger, he has been used by the hidden hand as a forefront for global mass population agenda through economic sabotage, manipulation, bullying. They coax third world countries into embracing the population agenda of the globalists. Kissinger and his fellow cryptocrats, um, deep state, have put some mechanism in place to reduce the world population by 2 billion by means of viruses, war, famine, and any other wicked means you can talk about. Read his depopulation policy. I didn't put these things. People should do research. People get off gossiping in Facebook and then do actual research to find out what is going on. How these people are planning for your death to enslave you, but you don't know because people are highly distracted, right? Distracted. And when HIV exploded, some of you just believe you came from green monkey in Africa. Says who? Didn't come from no green monkey in Africa. Not at all. Look deeper. Look deeper. Don't depend on the information they're feeding you to believe that's how the world works. Yeah, don't say it doesn't concern you because you think you're educated, you think you have PhD, you think you've gone to school, you think you understand the world. You don't understand no shit. You don't understand it, right? So, Bob Marley is like Bob Marley had kind of insight, this spiritual awareness, and that's why his music. I haven't seen these modern people sing like that anymore. Look at what he said. In this age of technological inhumanity, scientific atrocity, atomic misphilosophy, and nuclear misenergy, he captured the very philosophy and policies of these Luciferians, of these globalists. Captured them in this statement. This song is an extract from his album called Survivor. Survivor. But Marley knew, he understood what was going on. He understood how the planet is being controlled. He knew that they are using their science of Lucifer, science of Enki. Enki is the chief scientist. You guys, Enki is the material scientist. You cannot beat him in science. That's why you cannot fight these people physically and win. You cannot win them because this is their realm, this is their domain. They're scientists, master material scientists. The only way you can win is on a higher spiritual war, on a higher cognition. As long as you're trapped within the low dimensional thinking, reasoning, philosophizing, science, you are a fake game to them. You are a fake game. They cannot handle higher level of soul vibration. That is the only way you win. There are two kinds of science. Go towards spiritual science. If you have soul, they don't know how to fight in that realm because they are dense, because they are soulless, because they are third fallen realm, like the fallen realm. You have to go to the other realm, what you may call the high eon. The higher eon. Connect to that energy source. Connect to the source. Connect to the original prime creator. If not, if you think you can speak English because you are a scientist, you are you've have a PhD, you learn it, you study mostly mainstream knowledge. You can find these people. You're wasting your time. So, how do they care about the earth? Their history is full of these things. Eugenics. These are globalists who are bent on the population of the world. Eugenics is like a scientific philosophy of eliminating people you consider as undesirable on the earth. And I tell you, the people they consider undesirable, including you, they see you as a worker. That's what you are. Wake up every morning, work for them. You're a worker. You're a tool in their hand, right? So the history, their history is full of eugenic philosophies and policies. Chemical-induced population control, mass vaccination, pharmacological mind control. That is going to be the new thing going forward. Pharmacological mind control, the use of medication to compliance. Going to be something you have to watch out in the future because it's coming. It's coming. So, Thomas Ferguson was the Latin American case officer for the State Department's Office of Population Affairs. Currently, this office is now renamed the U.S. Department State, not State, States. So this Thomas Ferguson, this is what he said, and I'm quoting him. This is what he said about population, what they have been doing in the secret, right? There is a single theme behind all our work, the elites, the Luciferians, the globalists, the Illuminati, right? He said, we have reduced population level. Either government, talking about government of the world, either they do it our way through nice, clean methods, or they will get the kind of mess that we have seen, that we have in El Salvador. Salvador is a Latin American country that was ravaged by the war. He's telling you they're the one who initiated this war for a population, for mass depopulation. Because that is what, if you're a sold person, you don't get it, that people will initiate war and they calculate the number of people who are going to kill as a way to reduce the global population. You don't think like that if you're a sold person. But these people, these soulless people, that's how they think. That is how they think because they're working for their dark lord. They're working for the dark energy. They're working for the fallen realm. They're working for Satan. They're working for Lucifer. Right? That's how they reason. You see, you make people, or they will get the kind of mess that we have seen in El Salvador or in Iran or Beirut. Population is a political problem. Once population is out of control, it requires authoritarian government, even fascism, to reduce it. The professionals aren't interested in reducing population for humanitarian reasons. Of course, he said the professional, like you and I, we're not interested in reducing population because you don't want to kill people. You don't want to start giving people injection to kill. If you have soul, you can't think like that. You don't want to start supplying arms to people to fight each other to eliminate. You don't think like that. They say good people can't do that because of humanitarian reason. They have souls. They want to have sympathy on human being, and they think it's evil, right? Civil wars are somewhat drawn out ways to reduce population. He told you. The quickest way to reduce population is through famine. Like in Africa, he told you. Most of these hungers and disease, in the 1980s and 1990s, you see the picture of Africa is a picture of hunger. Africa is always begging for food. Yep. They're always, hunger is Africa. The face of Africa has become synonymous with hunger. But it's telling you they are the ones who induced it through economic blockages, through weather modification and geoengineering. Some places rain will not fall, but what people don't know is that they have technology now to make rain to stop falling in one particular part of the world. You cannot beat them when it comes to material science. They are way ahead of you. The kind of technology they have now, you cannot even imagine that. If they show you a piece of technology they have today, that is already like Stone Age technology. The one they have like 10,000 years to the future. Who knows? Who can believe that they can modify weather through the advanced technology? If you want to carve out a particular place, geographical place in the world, and make rain not to fall there for years, they can do that. You can't, right? You can't. So it tells you the kind of mess in Africa, hunger, poverty, starvation is induced by the global elites, right? You say, we go into a country, he's telling you, I don't know why he was spilling the beans. Did he forget? He was just telling people what they are doing. They can't even hide anymore. These Luciferians can't even hide anymore. You say, we go into a country and say, here is your goddamn development plan, as they have been doing in Africa, the hand of the UN development agenda, and African leaders, blind African leader, just accept this. There's something about African. They just want to go to UN and talk English. They just want to go to the Western world and feel that they're educated. You think that by speaking English or Portuguese or Spanish or Latin or French means that you educate? No, 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 not at all. Just a language. English is just a language. Get it, right? So Africans don't get it. The developmental agenda, whenever you say UN, this UN, that, run away from those things. These are Luciferians, man. These are Luciferians. I've forgotten this book, but when you read it, this guy who wrote this book was a US military intelligence officer who later died. I think something Williams, I forgot his name. He tells you that he was the World Health Organization through an agency called the International Agency for Research on Cancer that went to Africa and started vaccinating Africans on what they call smallpox vaccine. And after that vaccine, after millions of Africans have been vaccinated, HIV exploded everywhere. Prior to that vaccination, 1970, 77, 79, 78, there was no HIV in Africa. So he tells you whatever caused HIV came from the vaccine for smallpox in Africa. You're not going to hear it from doctors. They won't say it. Even if they know it, they won't, because they're scared. If you say this kind of thing, your license might be suspended as a medical doctor, because these people who are controllers, they control everything, control your medical licenses to practice. So if you say this, you are a conspiracy theorist. And many doctors, most of them don't even study beyond getting a medical degree. Most of them don't really study. They just follow the system. They distribute medications. Especially Africans, they don't do research. They just rely on what other people have done to begin to replicate the mantra. When are you going to grow? Right? So let's continue. To accomplish what the State Department deems adequate population control, the Civil War would have to be greatly expanded. Just you. So most of these civil wars you saw in Africa was a manipulation of the international globalist Luciferians to cause population, depopulation of the masses. He's saying this. Go and do your own research. His name is Thomas Ferguson. That was what was the government official saying, replicating this genocidal philosophy in public, talking about this agenda for the population of the world, and nobody's questioning. Everybody's just like, damn, no wonder they call the people the Goyas and the sheep and the cattle and the zombies and the masses and the consumers. Right? It's telling you they make war happen. And sometimes they prolong war. Look at the Liberian War, for example. When you say Charles Taylor escaped from a prison in Massachusetts and went to Africa and started causing war. I mean, who escapes in maximum security prison in the United States? Who does that? No, they help him to escape because they've studied him. They programmed him when he was in prison. They used all these kind of mind control techniques, MK Ultra mind program, Monarch, They program him, engineered him, and send him as a radical to go and devastate the country. How did he escape who does that? U.S., to escape in maximum prison, Chastello did, because CIA and other agents helped him to escape, because I think what was going on was that at a point, Samedo, I'm drifting, but it's important. It's important too. Samedo was a puppet of the United States at a point. He started listening to Muammar Gaddafi, right? And Muammar Gaddafi is a sworn arch enemy of the United States. So they were trying to get rid of Samedo, and they studied Charles Taylor when he was in the U.S. prison. They studied him. They knew he's a radicalized, kind of mind brainwashed him and sent him to go and kill Samedo, and he did. Him and his gangs, they did. I'm not saying that Samedo probably was an evil person too, but I'm just trying to say how these wars that Africa particularly experienced were induced by the international globalists as a method of population control. He's telling you this is a U.S. top U.S. Government official stating this Nazi-like eugenic Malthusian depopulation genocidal comments, stating this kind of thing. So let's continue. He said, you have to pull all the men into fighting and kill significant number of fetal childbearing age females. You are killing a small number of males and not enough fertile females to do the job. If the war went on 30 to 40 years, you might accomplish this. It takes you. So these are population control agenda. War is a means of controlling the population, and they have been using it. They don't think like you. And because you are good, you're sold good person, you don't even imagine that people reason like that. And that is why you don't care. You don't care because you think everybody's like you, right? So what about something called a report from the Iron Mountain? Is a global, come on, hold that knife. A report from the Iron Mountain is a piece of document from the US government officials. And this document deals with a plan or an agenda to depopulate the world. These are all puppets of the global, of the globalists, of the Satanists, of the Luciferians. They're all puppets, right? So in 1961, there was a study led by the top US government officials. The result of this study was called Report from the Iron Mountain. The cryptocratic elites were using war as a means of reducing the human population on Earth. They alluded to the recruitment of the vilest psychopath in the society into military status to be used as a tool by the elites. They planned the development of a sophisticated form of slavery may be an absolute prerequisite for social control in a world of peace. They're talking peace. What this is saying, what this part is saying is that they decided that war is a tool to control the population. One of the easier tool to reduce the population. They come to mostly third world country and they initiate war, right? And on the course of that war, what happens? Millions are killed and the population is reduced. So you don't think like this, but this is how these people think. And they say you recruit like the most vilest psychopaths into military. And I'm not saying that anyone who recruited into the military is a psychopath, not at all. But this is what they're saying, that they want to recruit psychopaths, people with no empathy, and send them to war. Of course, when they go there, they want to kill everybody, you know, because that's what psychopaths do. That's what sociopaths do. So it was their program. Go and find people who are psychopaths, recruit them into the military, promote them, and then send them to war. They massacre everybody. So who are these people who came up with this, who led this report called Report from the Iron Mountain? They are McGreg Bundy was an intelligent expert analyst who worked with the CIA and was the United States National Security Advisor to President John Kennedy. Another guy who led this study was Robert McNamara, a United States Secretary of Defense serving from 1961 to 1968 under J.F. Kennedy, right? Again, Dean Rusk, the United States Secretary of State from 1961 to 1969 under, again, President Kennedy. They led a study that concluded where they will use war as a global population, a global population reduction to depopulate the world. They've done like jams and other means and other chemical and medical means, but now like war, they concluded that war should be a tool of global mass population. So that tells you that when war erupts, any kind of war, maybe European war, Africa wars in Africa, war, Hitler fighting, the Western world fighting each other. These wars are initiated by the secret cabals, not just as a way of rendering blood sacrifice to Satan, but also as a way for them to control the third dimension. That's it. So, again, people who claim to care for the earth, they claim to love the earth, right? They're using pharmacological means to control the people. Pharmacological means, right? What I may call the zombification of the people. People are being zombified. They don't just know that because you wake up in the morning, you think it's just you. They've taken you, they're changing you from this subliminal part of you, but you're not even aware of it. They're transforming you. They're changing you biologically, socially, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. They're changing you. They're changing you because they're modifying the environment, right? Chemicalizing you. Most of the things you eat out there is full of chemicals. So what is the long-term impact on your biological self, right? What's the long-term impact? Of course, the agenda is something called alchemical transformation of man, because the alchemical transformation of man is part of what you may call the movement towards singularity. They have to change you. They have to change who you are in the future to be able to bring the great age of Satan. That's important to understand. They have to change you. They have to zombify you. They have to paralyze your cognition. They have to euthanize you. They have to make your soul vibration low, because the more they put this chemical into your body, in the environment, in your food, in your water, in your drinks, the more they do this, the more they bring your soul vibration low. If you are a materialist, you probably not listen to me, because what I'm saying here might not make a lot of sense to you, right? So, this is Aldous Huxley. In this book that I showed you, I showed you, A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Glitches. Brave New World. He tells you of a time that is coming, and I'm going to quote him, his book. Remember, this guy was an insider. He was part of the secret society. He was an insider, and he saw the future. He knew the future, and he wrote about it, something that looked like fiction. He wrote about it, but nobody paid attention. He said, There will be in the next generation or so a pharmacological method of making people love their servitude and producing dictatorship without tears, so to speak, producing a kind of painless concentration camp for entire society so that people will, in fact, have their liberties taken away from them, but we rather enjoy it. They are going to use chemical means of making you comply. It's already happening because the food you eat is full of pesticides. The water you drink is full of chemicals, right? You know, your environment, the air you breathe now is full of toxins. But most independent researchers are already showing us concrete evidence that these toxins that saturate our environment are changing our basic biological makeup, right? Atlas Huxley told you already. He told you what the elites are going to do. He told you what the Luciferians are up to. Pharmacological. If you come to the United States, majority of people are placed on medications. Medications. Everybody's taking medication. Everybody, right? And who are these big money making machines who are promoting these medications? In the sense that when you are talking of natural, organic way to living, it's almost like illegal. You know, there are things you cannot just sell, like natural, organic. Maybe you can't just say I'm selling herbs. They have to monitor you. They have to make sure that they control you. But then it's easy to acquire these other pharmacological product because that is not in sync with the natural biology of man, right? It's not natural to be putting all these synthetic materials and substances and foreign agents in the human body. They're changing you, right? All enslaving systems preach obedience to the system. Wherever you are, and people are always saying, oh, obedience, 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 because they want to control you. And you see the one that Christians and a lot of religious people quote all the time, obedience is better than sacrifice. Because any system that preaches that always is a controlling system, including religion. Because you cannot control people who, quote unquote, are not obedient. And sometimes what they consider as lack of obedience is just being able to defy the system. They want everybody to comply. They want you to be on roll. They want you to function predictably. And if you don't function like that, you become disobedient. And they're going to quote for you. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Yeah. It's a controlling system. Question everyone. Question your imam. Question your pope. Question your church. Question your pastor. Ask and ask direct question. If you can't do this, how can you transcend this physical dimension when you die? When you're going to meet these other dimensions with more armies of demons there, that if you don't know, if you cannot ask simple questions to people because you're afraid of being alone, you're afraid of being cast out of the church or out of the mosque or cast out of your peer groups or removed from school. If you can't do this now, how can you challenge the beings of the other side when you die? Of course, they're going to recycle your soul back on the physical matter because for you to be able to emancipate your soul means you have to go beyond three-dimensional cognition. The problem is 3D cognition, 3D thinking. 3D reasoning is a fallen reasoning. You have to bypass that. And for you to bypass that, you have to be, quote unquote, abnormal. If you want to be normal, you're going to join every other person in what they're doing. Remember, people often consider to be abnormal or say some abnormal things are the normal because why they look abnormal is because the masses of people are following the same musical frequency, are following the same mantra. So anyone who questioned that mainstream platform becomes weird, right? Weird. So you got to be willing to stand alone to be able to examine the system. So compliance to the status quo is induced through religious indoctrination and statutory codifications. Compliance is also fostered through chemicalization of the human biology, artificialization of blood, of food and drink, sugar bombing using additives such as aspartame, monosodium glutamate or MSG, and other neurotoxic substances are subjecting the masses to cognitive sleep and spiritual docility. There are psychotronic wars through silent killers like ELF or extremely low frequency or electromagnetic weapons. Thus, the people are made biopsychosocially, the people are being made biopsychos. I don't know what I was writing here. But I think the point I was trying to make is that the people are being controlled biopsychosocially, psychologically, mentally, socially, they are being controlled. Most of the soft drinks you have today are full of additives. And you see some people who are religious say, oh, I don't drink beer, but I drink soft drink. Do you know what is there? Additives. Additives are neurosuppressant. So we are not really different. If you look at the human body and in terms of maintaining the human body, somebody who drinks beer, a lot of beer, and somebody who drinks a lot of soft drink, you're all the same thing. You're all damaging and destroying the body system. You know, don't buy into this duality because they create those dualities to convince you that you're doing something good. You know, how many cubes of sugar in a bottle of, say, Coke? Is that good for you? Sugar is one of the most evil things invented on this planet. The most evil. When I say evil, that if sugar is a human being, need to go into international tribunal to be tried for atrocities against humanity, right? But it's legal. That's why people call it sweet cocaine, right? So they are all toxins in the human body. Human body originally is not designed to consume such things, but that is what is everywhere. And when you do longitudinal studies, you see that they all have long-term impact, dangerous impact on people. How about your environment? How about your environment? It's part of the zombification of the people. You're being zombified, but you don't know it. Zombification of the people through geoengineering, geological engineering going on. Geological engineering, they're now talking of solar engineering, they're now talking of atmospheric engineering. So you cannot escape them because they are the master of this visible light spectrum, unless your soul consciousness rises beyond the program of the third density or the 3D cognition. That's the only way you can escape these creatures who are here. And I say creatures, and I mean creatures. Creatures. You know, there are things I could say, but people cannot take it because a lot of people are not in that category of cognition and understanding of reality yet, right? Our atmosphere is saturated with biotoxins such as malathion, barium, strontium, aluminum, etc. Pesticide, herbicide, and other chemicals have been known to alter not just the ecological system, but also the biology of man. Right? You look at many places around the world, you see airplanes going about spraying these dusty clouds all over the place. That's what some people call chemtrail. The food you eat is full of poisons in terms of pesticides, and these pesticides are also linking to the environment and linking into your water. And as I said some time ago, there was a researcher in California who began to study the impact of pesticide and herbicides on the frogs, and he discovered that because of these pesticides, the male frogs are mutating to be female. They are confusing the behaviors. The male frogs are behaving like females, and the female frogs are behaving. So the roles, the biological roles, are being switched because of the chemicalization of our atmosphere, of our water system, of our environment, right? Everything is full of chemical. And you got to understand what I said at the beginning of this, that this physical density is controlled by what you may call the demonic beings, because the physical dimension is the dimension of the fallen angels. Bible, or for a Christian or Jews or Muslim, the Bible already told you that about something called the God of this world blinds people. What is blind? What does it mean? Frequency bar that you cannot reason beyond the program that you are in. And what are the program? The educational program, your church religious programming, your family programming. You have to go beyond that. If you can't go beyond that, how can you ascend these other complicated dimensions when you die? Of course, you're still going to be trapped there, because this is not it. A lot of people think, oh, Hakuna Matata. Once I die, Muhammad, Buddha, Jesus will just come and take me to heaven. That's not how things work. That is the program. You've also been bamboozled. You've been tricked. There are more complications on the other astral realm than your church is teaching you, than your imam is teaching you, right? Things are more complicated. It's not like that. It's not like that. Souls are being recycled to this third density because these beings want to keep you here trapped for as long as they can exhaust your soul energy. Many people you think they have died to go to heaven are back in the physical dimension. That's a teaching for another day, right? A teaching for another day. So let's continue. Again, the environment is full of toxins. Toxins in terms of electrical discharges in the atmosphere, extremely low frequency radiations all over the place, 5Gs, and you have to know that some of these technologies are from these guys. The technology you have are from these guys. Most of the scientific inventions are from, if you know, you know, from these guys who are interdimensional beings, giving mankind, because these technologies are gift of man, gift of God to man. If you check the history of the evolution of scientific inventions, you say within the past few years, the rate of advancement in technology has quadrupled, has grown exponentially, right? It seems that yesterday man was just in the Stone Age, and boom, we're exploring the whole space because there are intervention. And this is what your normal school will not teach you. There are beings that are not humans who are making alliances with humans and giving them technology in exchange for something else, for souls. That is just what is going on. Thank God this period, we've seen like even professors and doctors beginning to write about this thing, because before nobody will talk about it, because it's like you look weird when you begin to say things like that. And in those days, they will ostracize you within your peers. They will make you feel like you're crazy to say these things. But that is what is going on. The government, intelligences of the government, the military intelligences are making alliances with these creatures who are coming from the other dimension. This other dimension that is interfacing with our reality. And they're giving them these technologies. They give them these technologies to enslave you. Most of you don't know. They are giving them these technologies to enslave mankind. It's not free. You pay for it. Who is paying for it? The zombies, the people, the masses. Because these beings feed off of your energy. They want to make our planet, when they say they care about the planet, no, they don't. They want to make the planet to look, to mimic the hive mind of the demonic realm. Because the demonic realm or the occultic realm is a realm that works with hive mind. They don't have individual freedom as soul humans do. So they want to enslave everyone in this dimensional prison system for their own agenda. They are the one who know the agenda. I don't know what their agenda is, but these beings are here. Some of them are in the inner earth. Some of them are in the inner earth. Some of them are in the air. Some of them are in different um dimensions and layers of reality that your visible eyes cannot explore. And there is not something that school will teach you. In fact, if you're a professor, you talk about this kind of thing in school, that will be your end. That will be your end of your professorship. They will chase you away. They will remove you because they don't want people to know. Again, you see GMO. GMO is genetically modified organism. Many food you eat around you, because many people in the developing world will say, well, that's the problem in the Western world. No, no, it's all over the world. They can control the entire planet, not just a particular country. Your government, your central banks, all of them are linked to these people, these Luciferian globalists. Name any central bank in the world who is not linked to somewhere, linked to somewhere, linked to um, these other these people. You know, they're all linked. They control the entire global. That's why, for example, dollar is the standard of global currency. Why is that? Try to remove your central bank now. Let's see how it's going to work. You can't. You control it. If there is a fluctuation in dollar or in pounds, the whole world economy will crash. They control everything. So it's not just in the Western world. The genetically modified organism, most of the crops you plant in your country are being genetically modified. It means that these people have already seized, they have already controlled the entire crops, agricultural crops in the world. And the problem is that when they remove the natural organic crops and begin to fill the entire planet with these GMOs, it means that you will no longer have access to seed. Seed are being controlled again. They have access to all seed. Very soon, farmers will not have seed. You have to go to these companies to buy the seed, and when you plant it, you cannot harvest. You can harvest abundant crops, but you cannot plant it because they won't grow. They've been genetically modified. So every year you have to go to them and buy. That's not a problem. The problem is that what is the biological impact of these GMOs um, on our bodies? They are changing the molecular structures of your DNA. They are changing you by these modified plant and animals that we are consuming, right? Something I call the Frankensteinization. Frankenstein, Frankenstein food. Frankensteinization of biological organism is a Luciferian agenda for alchemical transmutation of humans via biomodification or biological modification. GMO involves an unnatural, pardon my writing here. GMO involves an unnatural process of altering the genetic material of an organism through hybridization. Independent studies have demonstrated that feeding GMO food to lab rats, pardon my writing, I was tired when I wrote this. Independent studies have demonstrated that feeding GMO food to lab rats causes defective birth, fertility problems, autistic type of behavior, and internal organ problems. This is what independent studies have shown. But because these mega Luciferian companies and elites are controlling all means of media information, it means that people are not having access to these studies. There were studies done all over the place by independent groups that established factually that when you begin to feed GMO food to rats, it begins to create a behavior in them that mimics autism. They begin to have fertility problem. The rats won't be having their biological productivity level will decline, right? And they begin to have birth defects. The same thing is applicable to people, but they're not going to tell people that. They want to eliminate the natural food and have modified one. Everybody is craving, oh, I'm eating watermelon and orange without seed. That is not natural. That is not what the prime creator made. That is artificial. That is changing who you are biologically, but it's becoming impossible to have organic food anywhere in the world, not just in the civilized world. It's becoming impossible to find organic, natural food that is not a GMO, right? Again, people who claim to love the planet Earth are worshiping and sacrificing people to Lucifer, to their demonic controllers and overlords, right? They use war, Malthusianism, eugenics, and all Illuminati tool of population control, right? War, as I've mentioned earlier, is one of the way of not just creating a global sacrifice to the devil, because the devil feeds off of people's suffering. That's why people who you hear that people are doing like ritual sacrifice or money sacrifice. The reason they have to kill people and to open another dimension to ask for a wish is because the lower realm, the lower astral realm, can manifest or feeds off of suffering. When there is suffering, people are suffering. You're killing somebody and he's struggling, he's suffering. That pain is the key. At that point, you're opening a door to the interdimensional for these beings to come, because they are trapped in the abyss. For people who understand what I'm saying, abyss is hell. They are trapped there and they want to get out. They don't want to be there. They don't want to be there. And humans will be so manipulated and so stupid enough to begin to perform sacrifices to open these dimensions for these beings to pop out in the physical realm. And we see that happening all over the place. Every day of the moon phase, you see there are all kinds of ritual sacrifice going on all over the world, and invoking different entities and different manifestations for their own diabolical agenda. These people are not good. So when they tell you we care about the earth, their history show that they don't care about the earth. The Luciferians are double standard people, right? Again, you see microwave radiation, extremely low frequency. These towers, we call telephone towers, are emitting frequencies that radiating the human biological system. So I wrote here, artificial radiation through extremely low frequency is killing people and causing unknown illnesses. Most of the illnesses in our world today are caused by a lot of radiation in the atmosphere. A lot of radiation. And these radiations that saturate our atmosphere is being, they are preparing the world for the age of singularity, where artificial intelligence will take over the world. See people, I've forgotten this book I read. I think, what's this book I read? I've forgotten the name. But this author made it categorically clear that when people strapped, see people, strapped a Bluetooth on their head, that could be used as a neural mapping to map your brain. Somebody can study the entire chemical interaction in your brain from somewhere digitally. I've forgotten this book. Well, that's not the point today. So let's continue. So the ultimate goal of these Luciferians is transhumanism and posthumanism. And if you haven't studied anything about transhumanism or posthumanism, it's very important. There are a lot of available research material out there describing the Luciferian transhumanist agenda. is very important because this is going to involve everyone on the planet. The goal to destroy what you know as man, as souled human, and create a synthetic version, an artificial version that is linked neuronally, biologically, emotionally to machine consciousness. That goal, that agenda is real. You know, read this book that I've shown before, Transhumanism by Dr. Joseph Farrell. Maybe one of the books for starters who want to understand this goal of creating a transhumanist society. Transhumanist means man being able to transcend the state of humanness, right? We want to transcend the state of humanness. In other words, they see humanity as a sickness. Being human is a sickness that needs to be overcome by synchronizing the machine system into the very biological nature of man. This is also a Luciferian agenda. Don't tell me it doesn't affect you because the global agenda is all over the place today. It's all over the place. Just to give them time to accomplish this demonic process. They are doing this because they want to create the great age of Satan. The great age of Satan will also be the age of machine. Machine consciousness will outsmart humanity. And remember, machine consciousness is not just machine consciousness. That machine consciousness is demonic consciousness. That's what people don't know. It's not just a machine. It's artificial synthetic. It's the fallen realm. It's Enki. It's Lucifer. It's Lucifer consciousness that is not in alliance with the prime creator, because these beings have been chased out of heaven, have been cut off from the source. The source is the original creator. They don't have access to him anymore. So they don't have life. So they become a mechanical governors of different planets within different solar systems. They go from place to place, invading, colonizing, conquering, and controlling. And as I said, the planet Earth has been the battlefield for the control of these different extraterrestrial beings or aliens or life forms, right? Evil ones, for that matter. So again, war on the human neurons. Your neurological system, there's war going on your neurological system. As I said, food preservatives, food sweeteners, artificial sweetener, all these things you're eating has some kind of neurological control has some control in your neurology, your brain. It kind of keeps you dumbed down, keeps you passive, keeps you not function at the full capacity of your consciousness, right? You see, I'm going to read what I wrote here. There is a neurosuppressant on an alarming level through death diet. Most of the food you eat, you think you're enjoying, drinking all these things and eating, they're death diet. Death. The all-seeing eyes of the Luciferian elite utilize every scientific opportunity to engineer a death culture on the masses. What is called food and drink today could otherwise pass as chemical warfare against the people. The food we eat are saturated with synthetic bio-neural destroyers. Thus, food, instead of serving as a natural nourishment to the body, has become the major cause of heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, obesity, mind control, and population elimination. Food has become an instrument of undetectable war in the hands of the hidden hands, the Luciferians, right? The water you drink is full of fluoride. Fluoridation is a reality in our world. fluoridation of your water systems. And fluoride is not good for you. Every independent studies will tell you that. The toothpaste is full of fluoride. So how come, if they care about you and if they care about the air, they continue to saturate the city waters with fluoride? Fluoride is a neurosuppressant, destroys your neuronal capacity, destroys your neurons, your central nervous system. It is not good for human biological system to absorb these foreign agents. But do you think it's by accident that they keep treating the quote unquote treating the city water systems with these chemical agents? No, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. It's intentional by the Luciferians. So this is an article in CDC website titled "Achievements in Public Health, 1900 through 1999: Fluoridation of Drinking Water to Prevent Dental dental caries." Find this article and read it. It's online for anyone. Even if you don't like to buy books, you can read it online and see what is going on. Let me drink my water. I'm talking for a while. So the article read, fluoridation. Fluoridation means putting fluoride into water. Fluoridation of community drinking water is a major factor responsible for the decline in dental tooth decay during the second half of the 20th century. The history of water fluoridation is a classic example of clinical observation leading to epidemiologic investigation and community-based public health intervention. Although other fluoride-containing products are available, water fluoridation remains the most equitable and cost-effective method of delivering fluoride to all members of most communities, regardless of age, educational attainment, or income level. They're poisoning you. They're poisoning you, and they're telling you that, clinical observation leading to community-based intervention. Community. They're bringing literally fluoride, which is a neurosuppressant, and putting it into water, and everybody's drinking it. This, again, is part of their agenda. They say it's for tooth decay. It helps to solve the problem of tooth decay. And this studies was done back in the 1960s, and nobody has reviewed it now to see these top elite scientists to know that this is a lie. That's a lie. They're lying. So for those who like to study, I like to give materials. Read this book by Christopher Bryson, The Florida Deception. Sorry, not Florida. The Fluoride Deception. Very important book. And another book is titled The Case Against Fluoride. These books will be a starting point for somebody who wants to understand the danger and the damage, the biological toxicity and the evil of putting fluoride on some water and other things that people use like toothpaste on a daily basis. This guy was Paul Cornett. Case Against Fluoride, a book by Paul Cornett and his colleagues. Read this book if you like to know what the hell is going on the planet. As I say, people spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars and whatever currency you use in your country to buy stupid things, maybe to just wear shoes and look good. It's okay to look good, but if you come to your house and you look around, there's no place for knowledge. There's no book. There's nothing where your children can learn about the world. It's a dumbed down house. It's ignorant home. Such home will depend on the mainstream system for knowledge, and the mainstream system will always deceive and trick and provide you mass programmed knowledge, which leads to, again, mass behavioral control system on everyone. And I have been saying this, that when you talk of the political system, when you talk of the architecture of control upon the face of the earth, is beyond humans. Is beyond just humans who are evil controlling others. There are dimensions and densities. Of course, if you're a materialist, you don't have to be listening to me, right? Because one, you don't believe in the higher dimension. But again, even the materialist should understand that quantum physics has verified that there are dimensions beyond the physical construction of reality. Quantum physics has established that factually. There are dimensions you might call the spiritual dimension to things. When you study things from the molecular, from the atomic, from the photon of light, we understand that the physicality is not all that is. Physicality is just a fraction, a minute fraction within the entirety of the light spectrums, both visible and invisible. So for the dense mind of the materialist to conceive reality based on his scientific observation and conclusion, to think that because I cannot see these other dimensions, they do not exist, is to be stupid and naive, right? So there are dimensions beyond this dimension. And today we've seen like PhD people beginning to talk about extraterrestrial beings that interface within our dimension. That's a landmark, that's a breakthrough. Because before, if you're a PhD, you work for the system and you keep your mouth shut. You don't talk about things like that. Don't talk about inorganic creatures or beings who reside in the inner earth, the upright walking serpents who are controlling people. You don't say things like that. You keep your mouth shut and you be in line and work for the system. But now multiple PhD holders are breaking away from the mainstream control and saying the truth, telling the people what is going on. Behind the control of the human society are beings that are not human beings, beings that are not humans, who came from multi-dimensional realities. That is the fact. And there are hierarchy of existence, just as when you come here, there are hierarchy of beings. Hierarchy, there's order here, there's also order in the other dimension. Remember, the invisible controls the visible. So let me read what I wrote here. So the point of this particular page here is to just make people aware that we are not just saying some of these heads of state, presidents, they are pawns, they are lackeys in the hands of higher and higher secret societies. And those higher secret societies are in turn being controlled by entities you may consider demons or fallen angels. I'm not gonna go deep because many people might not be able to follow me when I begin to talk about these other realities, okay? There is hierarchy in both the visible and invisible realities. The invisible controls the visible. Just as matter controls form and essence controls existence. The materialist wants to convince us that the world is limited only to the measurable objects within the range of visible light. The materialist is both naive and wrong at the same time. The materialist is an ardent believer in the science of trophic level of ecosystem. However, the materialist falls into the trap of his own ocular perception, that is, into the dogmas of his selective vision when it comes to extraterrestrial life forms. So what I'm trying to say here is that the materialist scientist has believed in this thing called the trophic level of ecosystem, which means there are food chains, there are levels, orders, man, lion, they break it into this ecological level of food chain, but in the physical realm. But they don't think that even in there's a dimension beyond the physical that also control man. On the physical reality, we think man is at the top of the chain, food chain, right? There are other beings that are at the top of that controls the physicality, the material manifestation, or what they call the visible light. They are the masters who understand how to bend light. And they try to tell you some of these things in the movies you watch, like light bender, fire bender. They're just telling you of these other dimensions, of these light forms, of these light beings who don't have dense physical matter that are in charge of what you may call whatever is going on in the control system that is going on in the physical world. Again, we are linking this to the Lucifer. We've talked about Lucifer. Lucifer comes under different names. So it can be, Lucifer is the same as Enki or Prince Ea or Iblis or Samael or Sarklos. The same being, right? The same being that controls the physical dimension. Call him Lucifer, Prometheus, Morning Star, Day Star, Light, Light Bearer, Light Bringer, Lucius, Luci, or Lucy, Lux, Fire, Phosphorus, or Serpent. The same thing, the same entities this being described, right? Sometimes you see the symbolism is an owl. If you look at a dollar bill, there is an owl hiding somewhere. You wouldn't see it with your naked eyes. If you have like a microscope, some kind of equipment, you can really see it clearly, but it's hiding. So why did they hide this owl on the dollar bill? It's not our topic today, but these are all Luciferians, Luciferian symbolism. You see, the light bearer. You see, these pictures, even what they call the Statue of Liberty, he's holding the light. These are symbols of the Luciferians. Symbols of the Luciferians, the light bearer. That I say the Luciferians believe that they have the light. That's what they call themselves the Illuminati, meaning illumination, light. They have the knowledge, they have the information, they have the science to control the planet, right? But to understand how reality is beyond your visible perception is to challenge your assumption. Challenge your assumption. Challenge all systems of knowledge you have ever been programmed to believe. I'm going to read what I wrote here. To understand how the world really works, discard all perceived ideations. Do away with everything you have been taught by your teachers, your politicians, your priests, your bishops, pastors, popes, parents, your peers, and so on and so forth. Discard what you have been programmed to believe by televisions, radios, newspapers, and the entirety of conventional social media. These mainstream propaganda-based outlets mainly propagate the philosophies of the global Luciferians. The goal of these evil cryptocrats is to keep global humanity ignorance and low vibration. Right? If you look at this picture very well, at first glance, you're going to think it's somebody's face. That's where investigation of reality has to come. Calm down and have time to investigate things. When somebody has said things to you, when somebody has taught you things, even the scripture, I say the scripture because that is one of the greatest tools in the Bible of mind controlling people. People who don't have some theological ground, we just read things written within different cultural systems and they think they know it. They think the Spirit is leading them. but they're under strict mind control. They never investigated it. They look at it from a face value. Just as if you look at this picture on a face value, you're just going to see somebody's face. You think it's somebody's face. See the eyes, the nose, the mouth, But when you pay closer attention, you see the illusions will fall away and you see reality. But if you just take a quick look and remove your eyes, you will swear with your life that you saw somebody's face, right? That's what you're going to do. But it's not. My microphone is hissing. I don't like the sound. So, because the Luciferians are the master of the visible light, they bend visible light to distract you, to confuse you, to create illusion. As I told you at the beginning of this presentation, the world you see is outside you is an illusion. Nothing exists. Oh my goodness, I must have committed like atrocities in the minds of many people when you say nothing exists. If nothing exists, how come I'm touching this microphone? I'm not going to go into that because it's a deeper metaphysical, scientific knowledge. And if you're interested in understanding the quantum reality and how things function, you go and learn more a little bit about metaphysics as well as the quantum reality, quantum physics will help you expand the mind, expand your mind with quantum physics. You see, the seemingly hardness you touch when you touch the world around you is because of resistance in the electromagnetic field. And this has to do with the atomic level, at the level of photon, at the level of the invisible energy form, right? That's why you think you've seen a tree, As I said, maybe when we leave this dimension, the time we die, we understand reality, that the demiurge, the masters of this physical plane, has created an illusion that deceives our five senses. And when they say, let there be light, it was the time that they switched on what we call the deception. I'm going straying. So let's focus on this. So the visible light spectrum is a false reality. What you call reality is a code. Listen very well. I'm going to read it again. What you call reality is a code which needs to be decoded. The physical world which impresses itself upon your senses is a cipher that needs to be deciphered. Always look deeper and question everything. Question all things. Question your own sanity. Question your own intelligence. Question your own epistemological competency to reality judgment. I'm hearing a hissing in my microphone. It drives me crazy. Okay. Question your parents' mind programming and behavioral conditioning. Question your societal and cultural indoctrination and belief systems. Question your religious interpretation of the world. Question all of them. Learn to embrace methodic skepticism until you can arrive at the core substratum, the essence, the core substratum of reality. If you look deeper enough, you will start noticing that everything you believe and learned is but an illusory mind-programmed perceptions. Just like when you look at this picture, you have to be an investigator. You have to look deeper, pay attention, investigate, question, and your illusion will fall away. You discover that nothing you have ever been taught about the history of the world is true. The manipulators, the cryptocrats, I'm going to read what I wrote here. The cryptocrats manipulate the third density reality by manipulating the four elements or the four elemental spirits, viz. The air, fire, water, and earth, or east, west, north, and south, or up, down, right, and left. So these Luciferians who are working for their invisible, hidden demonic masters have become the masters of the visible light spectrum. And I tell people, for the humans to win this war, you cannot win this war on the level of their scientific invention, because that is their domain. That's their domain. Material science is their domain. You can't beat them there because you are a soul. So you have to leave the third density cognition and go into spiritual cognition, spiritual science. They are zero there. They are zero there. Because if you remain within their domain, you cannot beat them. You cannot beat them at all, because they control your perception. So they have mastered all four elements. We have to understand that these four elements, air, fire, earth, and water, are entities. I know, I'm probably fucking a lot of people's mind up. These are entities. A is an entity, right? These people have mastered how to control the four elements. And if you control the four elements, you control everybody's perception. You can engineer the entire world, you can program the entire world by controlling these four elements. These four elements are neutral. And these Luciferians know how to utilize their diabolical magic to manipulate. It is fire spirit is called salamander. The water spirit, I think, is called Undine. I don't know if I'm saying this right. And then A is Sylph, and Earth is I don't remember what this is called, but these are four elements manifesting in all culture. Even if you come to my culture, they just said it in a different way. You have like 4 market days, all in allusion to the 4 fundamental elements of the physical manifestation. And these people know how to use magic. I mean, I'm not saying like metaphorically. They do magic. They engage in dark magic to manipulate matter and to bend light frequencies and to confuse your mind, to feed your illusions in televisions and whatever is going on around you, to create these illusions where you believe in the reality that does not exist to be in existence. Again, look at this picture very well. You got to pay attention. You got to be an investigator to see this is not human. It's not like two people looking at each other. Look very closely. That's how to be an investigator. Everything that people tell you is subject to investigate. Because when you start investigating, the illusions that have been coded within your biodigital self will fall away, and you see things on a clear, precise, metaphysical reality. You see reality as it is, and illusions will pass away. And once the illusion passes away, it's going to be difficult for you to be talking to people whose cognition is within the third density level, because they don't get you. They don't get you, and they don't have to get you. So don't be afraid to be alone. To be an investigator, it means you're going to be alone, because a lot of people's cognition will not match the way you have understood reality, right? So the Luciferians are master Confucianists, the magicians. Manipulators of the visible reality fracture the human mind through binary enigma. If you look at the world, it's like conflict, sad, happiness. If you look at your own life, the situation in your life is like this, confusion, sadness, happiness. You're happy and then, but you're not. It is a manipulation of the lower realm, the manipulation of the demonic realm, because by fracturing, remember, when your soul failed to matter, you've been fractured. Light from pure light has been trapped in matter, right? And is being fed with duality, the notion of duality and multiplicity. So you lost your identity, like your mind has been fractured, and they play on that constantly to cause you trauma. Let me just finish reading that out. These Luciferians are masters of double standard. They are hot and cold at the same time. They are good, Their good is evil. Their good is evil. Even when they do good, it's not really good because the intention is evil, right? So it's this confusion, this duality, happiness, sad. I'm crying. I'm sad. That is how they rule the physical density. They have to create this duality of conflict. We call it Manichaean dualism. That is how they control because they want to make sure that you confuse all the time, right? They manipulate and bend um, visible light in order to control souled humans through trauma, hypnosis, mental confusion. These serpent worshipping Illuminati are masters of the third dimensional reality. No wonder the Bible refers to their Lord as the God of this world. In 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, the God of this world. The serpent, the camouflagers, when they ask you to go right, you better turn left. When they ask you to go backward, go forward. When they ask you to go forward, go backward, because these are inverters of reality. Everything is upside down. They pervert reality and they corrupt reality. And this is an example of their logo. The 33-degree Scottish Rite Freemason, you see, double-headed eagle. What does it mean? Confusion. They engender confusion. Apart from the fact that ego has great sight to watch, they're watching all over, they're watching you, everywhere you are now, you'll be monitored. You don't just know that, right? You don't know that. Both in the astral realm and the physical realm, using their gadgets and technologies, and also the beings you don't see that are monitoring your soul movement. You don't see them because that's not what people teach. You don't teach those things. But that's what everyone should be teaching because we're here not to necessarily be millionaires. We're here to trace a road back to the prime source because if you don't, you'll be recycled here over and over and over, and you might, after a couple of thousands of years of being recycled on the planet, you might even, your soul might be, the remaining soul imprint you have might be damned forever. So it's important to teach this kind of lesson. So you see, the double-headed, double standard, that's the actual logo of the Freemason, 33-degree. See? Double-headed eagle of Freemason, as I showed you the other place, is about Luciferian two-facedness, deception, double standard, confusion, creation of cognitive contradiction in the population. They are humanitarians, but they are also mass murderers. They say, oh, we want to save the earth. We love people. We want to help people. But they're also mass murderers who intentionally engineer wars, practice satanic ritual sacrifice, pedophilia, and they drink blood. They do all kinds of ritual in secret, and then come invisible and pretend that they don't do all these things, right? The top echelon of secret societies converge under one global family known as the Illuminati. The cryptocratic elites see themselves as the light bearer for humanity. That is, the all-seeing eyes that watches humanity. Light. Whenever you see light, maybe they are doing like Olympic symbol, Olympic games, you see them carrying torch light. Of course, all those rituals of fire have to do with Luciferianism. For those who understand the bearer of light, who is Lucifer. Okay? A lot of things that they engage in has to do with light, fire. Because fire represents who? Lucifer. Lucifer is the light bringer, Lucifer is Prometheus also. In the Greek mythology, we see the story of Prometheus going before the god and stealing light and coming to give it to man. That light is knowledge. The same Promethean idea is also in the Old Testament, the the Garden of Eden, where the serpent told man, did God actually say you shouldn't eat those fruit? You know, he said God knows that if you eat it, you become wise. So the same. Prometheus is also the serpent in the Old Testament. They all stole fire, convinced man that you are going to be immortal. And the same thing that the transhumanists are doing, they are offering humanity that apple of Satan, that apple of Lucifer. Once you embrace, remember when the devil supposedly went to Eve in the Garden of Eden, he said, if you eat of this fruit, you're going to be eternal. You're going to be all white like God. The same way transhumanists are offering man the apple of transhumanism and saying, if you eat this, you're going to attain digital immortality. You're never going to die again. You're going to be a superhero. You're going to have all the powers. And you're never going to have what you call death. Again, you live forever in a digital cybernetic world. It's all Luciferian temptation. And mankind should avoid it. So these people, every electrical impulse within your biological body computer is manipulated to perceive reality falsely. As I told you at the beginning, the archons or the demiurge or the archons, these are fallen angels, control the entirety of the physical dimension. And because of that, they understand how to bend light frequencies and control and manipulate your perceptions and reality. You get? So every nerve in your body, every electrical system is constantly being bombarded, being fed with illusions and falsehood that leads you astray, that leads you to engage in endless, vain activities that do not elevate your soul consciousness to the higher transcendental level, because they want to make sure you're trapped in the lower realm with them. They are in the abyss. They are trapped in the abyss. Abyss is hell. Abyss is the lower astral plane. This is where these entities are. And they want you to be there with them. That's why they manifest these visible, beautiful things you see. You think this is beauty, but this is a copy of beauty. The material, the cars, the beautiful houses you see, all these things you think is beauty you're chasing with your soul are not beauty. They're copies, imitations. It's not where beauty lies, you know? So if you've spoken to somebody who is highly, highly trapped in the lower dimensional thinking, in the third level, third density cognition, you discover that they don't have higher consciousness. I'll be telling you, oh, bragging, I went to a doctor's, I went to visit the governor, and we went to see the president, and we ate this $15,000 meal, and they gave me $15,000 wristwatch, and this vain, superficial thing, you know, they're trapped in material consciousness. You know, that is the entirety of their life, surrounded with this low vibratory thing. Those things means nothing. The level of shoe you have in your feet is nothing if you don't attain soul consciousness. It's useless. Okay. Majority of humans on earth are under the Luciferian hypnosis. See, there's a hypnosis you don't see. There's a wave going on in the other dimension you don't see, and interfaces in this dimension, and it's catching everybody on the planet. Catching everybody, unless you are able to see through it, you can escape it. But if your consciousness is trapped within the third density thinking, you cannot escape them, because these beings are higher. They have like maybe 1 layer, 2 layers higher than you, right? Most of these demonic beings live in the fourth dimension. They are fourth dimensional beings. What a lot of people report to be aliens coming here, or these interdimensional, multi-dimensional entities, are fourth density. We are third density. So they are above, right? So, and because they're above, they see more than you do. They know more than you do, because of course they know you are in prison, right? So there's a wave. They continue to radiate fracture light continue to bend light to manipulate your ocular perception, your visual perception, your five senses. They continue to manipulate it, and you're never going to realize the true nature of the world, the true nature of things, and what is actually, you don't see it because you think you see with these eyes. No, you don't. So, majority of people on the earth are under the Luciferian hypnosis. Remember, the Luciferians are also under satanic control, you know. And the Luciferian elite refer to the people as what? Goyim, zombies, the masses, consumers, workers. Everywhere you are in the world, if you're not an Illuminati, you're a worker. Wake up every morning, you work and work and work like a slave. You work. That's why they created it for you guys. The People's Democratic Party, which is a workers' party. Workers' party, right? They don't value you. They don't see you as anything. And you also have to understand that many people around you, you might be trying to communicate this kind of higher knowledge, might be doing this. They're under spiritual sleep, so they cannot see what you're talking about because they're sleeping. You cannot talk to somebody who is sleeping. They have to be awake, spiritually awake. So the cryptocratic magicians have mastered the use of monarch mind control. MK Ultra, MK Naomi, MK Delta, Project Mockingbird, Manchurian-style hypnotic brainwashing, psychotronic weapons, massive trauma bombing, advanced occult hermetic transmutation, the Kabbalah, etc., to keep the people in deep state of spiritual sleep. They are hypnotizing the people to be spiritually asleep, whether it's a church hypnosis or religious hypnosis or political hypnosis or social or cultural hypnosis or just the belief system that you just bought from someone without examining it, you think is reality. You are under a hypnosis, and it takes effort to get out of this hypnosis. The reality is, if you don't get out of the three-dimensional cognition, you are not going to escape them even when you die. That's just the plain fact. You know? So what you call the social medias are also controlled by these elites. All of them are controlled by these very elites. I call this social media, the entire platform of this social media, the Luciferian Black Sun radiation program. Somebody is playing music so loud outside my home, and that drives me crazy. So the Luciferian Black Sun Radiation Program Center, all the medias you know, all the media systems you know are under the control of the all-seeing eyes, The cryptocrats control all mainstream media platforms. These platforms are centers of the following: mass behavioral conditioning, programmatic shifting and the programming of the human perception, mass hypnosis, misinformation, disinformation, disorientation, creation of apathy, inducing mass fear, and creation of mass trauma. So when you are the one who like to watch mainstream, run away from it. They're liars. Most people get their information from just sitting in front of TV or reading newspaper. If you are like this or going to conventional school, you are fucked up. You're fucked up because you're under hypnosis and under control. You know, again, the way they control people is through reality deception, reality perception, manipulation. You know, some people's world are like this. The only thing they talk about is, oh, celebrities. I want to buy some Gucci, Gucci, MK, and look nice and drive good cars, ride an airplane, sex, drink, and watch, follow your favorite TV personalities or celebrity personalities, and that is their whole world. And if your whole world is this is what you see. Your consciousness is trapped on a 3D level, and 3D level is the road to hell, or the road to the lower abyss, right? So You got to transcend this kind of cognition. Because if your cognition is this, there's an infestation in your mind. There is a parasite, demonic parasite in your mind, lowering your consciousness. If your whole life is paparazzi culture, entertainment, celebrity worship, celebrity gossip, consumerism, sports, youths are some of the most mind-controlled group of people on this planet. Why? Because a lot of people don't talk about anything else but sports. They are so hypnotized. You see, Africans, a lot of Africans spend their entire day, entire week, entire year just talking of European footballs. That's nonsense. That's not even African football. They're just into this hypnotized, not understanding reality. These things are created as a modern colosseum, like a Roman colosseum, where they distract you from understanding what is happening on the world, right? This has gone on for a while. I think I've come to the end of this very slide. Thank you for participating in today's lecture. I am the Wisdomizer. Stay awake, stay conscious, stay alert, open your mind. Reality is not what we have been programmed to believe. Reality is deeper than your parents have taught you, than your teachers have taught you, than your parents have taught you, than your peers have taught you, than your school systems have taught you. And if you actually understand reality on a deeper level, you'll be afraid for humanity. And you won't be able to tell people exactly um, what you're finding, because you will appear crazy to the people. Subscribe to my channel, The Primordial Wave. Signing out.